loud once again, live from the Diddy trial, 500 Pearl Street in New York City. Day 26, coming at you before the trial starts. Sorry, I'm just fixing the camera in the stand. Coming at you before the trial, as I do every morning, to give you guys a preview of what is coming up today and what we were looking at. For those of you who don't know everything that is going on, we do lives every morning before the trial starts, 7 a.m. We get back to you again at lunch to give you a midday update. Melva, good morning. Melva again is caught in the live. What up, what up, what up? Good morning, Felicia, what up? And then we also come, so we're in the morning, lunchtime, and we give you a wrap up at the end of the day. You can check it out on the YouTube channel. Just go to the live section. Melody is here. Good morning, King. Good morning, Queens. What up, what up? Michael, good morning. Trent, I appreciate everything that you do and what you sacrifice for us. Love watching you. You are awesome. Much love. Where are you? Cincinnati, Ohio. What up? Good morning, Kathy, Alex, Veronica, Alberta. What up, what up, what up? Sorry, not Alberta. Albert, what up? All right, Nicole E is in the building. Love, 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 love this, man. Love the love. Good morning to everybody out there. Nicole, Daniel, good morning. All right, the cops that are out here that is running this line today is a little bit, you know, some cops that get, a little too cocky and abuse their power. But I love cops, all cops out there, but this one is a little touchy this morning, so I'm gonna pay close attention to him and have to run in. So excuse me if I have to cut this live early, okay? Just making sure, yeah. Normally the cops are super cool out here, but this one this morning, a little bit iffy. All right, let me get to good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dorothy. Deep dive with Sanchi Lee. Good morning, everybody. Daniel, MD, let's go. Wayne. All right, I want to let you guys know, sorry, I absolutely love your coverage of this case, man. Thanks a lot for being on our side. Love that. Okay, if I get some time after I finish this, I'll go back into the comments. I love reading y'all comments, man. But good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. All right, today before the trial starts, we are going to talk about, starting off today with a super chat. K-I-L-A, how do you pronounce that? Keela? Thank you very much, Trent. Your tea last live was crazy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. I see that's in pounds. Where are you, in England? Let me know where you're from. But thank you. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Y'all know my dyslexia. I'm very bad with names, but it's all love. I love you guys. Thank you very much for the super chat. You're gonna get me some more Starbucks. I got my espresso, right? Not espresso, but what did I have? An Americano? Americana. I don't even drink coffee, but because I'm getting no sleep on this working here and getting up at 3:30 in the morning, by the time I do all the lives and I get to my regular daily podcast, I'm literally going to bed at 1. So I'm on the coffee as much as I can. All right. Oh, you're from the Netherlands. Wow, very, very cool, man. Blessings. I like that. I love that this is a global podcast, man. Thank you for that. Shout out to the Netherlands. I'm going to come out there one day. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some insight on, I have some inside information on if Diddy is going to testify. I have some information about that. I also have another inside scoop. I've been working. Even when I get off my lives, I'm still working. Remember yesterday when I got off my live, I was like, yo, the judge still has juror number 7 upstairs. I was waiting for everybody to leave the courtroom, so I have more information from you guys. So I have some inside scoops, okay? So Diddy's defense team has a new strategy. I'm going to tell you about that this morning. I'm going to talk to you about Diddy testifying or not. And I have a little bit of information on juror number 7, and I'll cover that today, okay? So first of all, the first inside scoop is Diddy's defense team is going to put the Mann Act on trial. We've been telling you guys a few times now about what Mark Agnifilo, by the way, I've been pronouncing his last name wrong. I said Algofino, but again, like I said, I'm really bad with pronouncing it. But Mark Agnifilo said to Harvey on TMZ 2 or 3 months ago that their main defense is going to be the fact that the feds are trying to take down a successful black man. Every time I say that, there's people in the conversation, in the comment section saying, we don't like this whole thing about playing the race card. I don't love that either, but at the end of the day, if your life is on the line, on trial, you kind of have to pull out whatever stops you can. It's not for me to decide, that's up for you guys to let us know how you feel, and for Diddy to make the ultimate decision. Now, I did say I think it is a good strategy when you don't have anything else to go for, but kind of hard to prove. And this whole time I've been thinking, if they have something like an email or a snitch or inside the feds that, does have some inside information that the feds are targeting Diddy, and we've talked about the fact that Diddy was suing Diageo and he was making grounds, and maybe Diageo pulled some strings and had the government come after him because he was making strides against a big corporation like Diageo. I thought maybe it might have some legs. But yesterday when we found out, the same Mark Agnifilo told us and the judge that his defense and the whole defense team, their case might only take 2 to 5 days. I was like, how do you put a defense together in 2 days that shows that the government is trying to take down a successful black billionaire? You would need at least a week or 2 weeks to prove that, right? Considering the fact that you're going to need a mental health therapist to counteract the trauma bonding that Don Hughes put up. You're going to need some other expert witnesses. That alone is 2 days. And to prove with the government, you'd need more time. So because I was questioning that, I found this out through my line of questioning to somebody on the inside. And they said that that is not necessarily not going to be their defense. However, it might not be their main defense. And one of the things they might do is they might try to put the Mann Act on trial. Now, the Mann Act was an act that was, I don't know, maybe around, I think it's like 80 or 100 years ago, where, and the only reason why it's called the Mann Act was that was the name of the person in the government, I think, or the politician that brought the act to the constitutions. And that is that you cannot hire a person for SEX and transport them across state lines. We could go into it, but you could Google it. There's a whole explanation behind it. So that's the Mann Act, and that's what Diddy is, one of the charges that Diddy's on trial for. But they are going to argue, allegedly, I think, what I've heard, they are going to argue that the transportation of a person across state lines to engage in SEX activity, however, they are saying that these were consenting adults, and they feel like that act is outdated, it's old, and it's racist. Again, how do you bring in race to something that has to do with SEX? I'm not sure. This is one of the best defense teams ever put together. Maybe they have an angle to try to play that. I don't know. I can only tell you what the person on the inside has told me. I don't know how you fight something that's in the Constitution or fight a law while you're defending a person. If you want to change the law, you don't do it during a case. However, at the end of the day, don't forget, this is a jury that's going to make a decision. So what I can only assume by that is that they're not pleading the case to the judge, they're pleading the case to the jury. And if they can make the jury think that this act is outdated and or racist and or something that they should not pay attention to, then maybe that could be a win. At the end of the day, it's really up to the jurors. It's not up to the government. It's not up to the judge, right? So at the end of the day, paying somebody for SEX, that alone itself is a crime. So I don't love that defense strategy because I understand the Mann Act really only comes into play when you're crossing state lines. And if it's illegal, let's say you're just here in New York City and you're paying somebody for SEX, I would understand saying that that is still a crime, but it shouldn't be more of a crime just because I'm in, let's say, the state of Pennsylvania and I'm hiring an SEX worker from New York, and now they got to come and see me in Pennsylvania. That should still be illegal, but should that be any more of a crime that if I'm in New York and hire a New York worker versus me being in Pennsylvania, calling an SEX worker in New York and flying them out to see me in Pennsylvania? Should that be more of a crime? Let me know in the comment section. I'll hope to get back to that. So they are going to try to put that, and there is some, now that I just painted that scenario to you, there is something to it there. Like, should that be more of a crime just because they're crossing state lines, right? Like, and you guys got to remember when these laws were made, they didn't have the transportation, they didn't have the accessibility. That, like, the world was a different place 100 years ago, right? Same thing I was talking about with the jurors. yesterday on yesterday's live about how, in the 80s, it's easy to tell a jury, okay, go home and don't pay attention to the news because you had 3 channels and you didn't have social media. Today, 2025, it's hard to tell somebody not to pay attention to media because we're all on our phones, we all have notifications, we all have apps. It's a totally different ball game. So I do think that at some point we do need to look at the Constitution and look at laws and update them according to our technology. And being in LA and hiring an SCX worker from, New York or Pennsylvania or wherever it is in the country, should you be more penalized the fact that there's flights every hour and people take planes like they take buses? So I kind of see where they're coming from. I don't know if they could pull it off, but I kind of see where they're coming from, where 100 years ago, to cross state lines was a bigger ordeal to go from New York to LA. Today's day and age, man, I could be in LA in 2 hours. I could catch a flight, get into an Uber or whatever. So I see their point in that. So that is one inside scoop. That is, we were trying to figure out yesterday, what is Diddy's defense going to be? Everybody knew what the prosecution's case was going to be. We all read Cassie's lawsuit, Little Rod, all of these people. There were a couple of things that we didn't know, but we pretty much knew the angle of the prosecution's case. What we are still trying to figure out, what I'm here every day actively trying to figure out for you guys, is what is Diddy's defense? How are they going to plead their case? And the reason why I'm so interested in it is because we haven't heard one thing from Diddy since November 2023 when Cassie's lawsuit came out. The only time we've heard from him directly is when he came and gave that horrible apology on Instagram to Cassie without even saying Cassie's name or saying sorry to her. That's the only time we've heard from Diddy in a year and a half. I really, really hope that during his defense, he gives some sort of insight from his side. But also another thing I said yesterday, at the end of the day, he's just trying to get himself out of jail, right? And if they feel like they have the case already won, maybe that could be one of the reasons why they don't want to go in depth with their defense. I've always said it's like a football or a basketball game. You go in there with a strategy, you start the game, and you call audibles and you make decisions along the way. Diddy's got to trust his $4 million legal team. All right, that is Diddy's defense. Now, another person told me that allegedly, the defense has made a decision that Diddy will not be testifying. I'm not saying 100%. As of today, that is what I've heard, that Diddy will not be taking the stand. A lot of you guys have been asking me in the chat. I've been doing my due diligence and trying to find that out for you. I feel comfortable enough to say that as of today, the strategy is not. But take that with a grain of salt. Put an asterisk beside that, because Brendan Paul is still testifying today, and there could still be a surprise witness from the prosecution. Every day, everything is changing. We still have to update you on jury number 7, and I have a small update for that as well too. I'll find out 100% when court starts in about an hour from now. But Brendan Paul, there could be a surprise witness. The prosecution could be playing games. You have no idea. I've been saying to you guys since the beginning, you never know what can happen in court, and every day, every hour, every minute, things change. The jury could change, or it could be a mistrial, it could be whatever, you don't know. But having said all that, the strategy from now is that Diddy will not be taking a stand. You have to know that means that Diddy's defense team feels positive. That is a positive sign. You only put a defendant on the stand, put them subject to cross-examination, which is very dangerous. But the only time you do that is when you feel like you don't have any other choice. When you feel like your back's against the wall, you feel like the case has already been lost or probably already lost, and you put the defendant up on the stand almost as a Hail Mary of like a last final attempt. If they have decided not to put him up on the stand, that means they feel comfortable about something. They either feel comfortable about the jury, they feel like the prosecution's case was not strong, or they feel like they poked enough holes that they can at least create a reasonable doubt. Let me tell you something about creating reasonable doubt. I'm here in line with people from CNN, TMZ, ABC, NBC, whatever, other content creators, and we're talking every day, and everybody says the same thing as I said yesterday. When the prosecution is up there, they're very, very convincing, and you think, example, Cassie, you're like, yeah, man, wow, poor Cassie. They'll show pictures of her with Diddy putting hands on her. You'll see her saying that she doesn't want to do freak offs. You hear Dean saying, I'm tired of freak offs. I don't want to do this. I'm not an animal. Cassie saying, I'm somebody's child. And you're like, wow, Diddy is an a-hole, man. Like, what? This is horrible. The defense gets up there and cross-examines the witness, and they show text messages of Jane being like, I can't wait to do this. Cassie saying she wants to organize freak-offs, etc. Now, we do know about trauma bonding. We do know that a lot of these women have said that they felt the only reason why they were doing this is because that was the only way to keep on pleasing him. That was the only way for him to not put out their videos, exaggerate. So now, hey, love that, respect, bro, respect. This guy just drove by. He goes, yo, I'm an out louder. Respect, love that. Okay, sorry about that. So, what was I saying? Oh yes. So then, when the defense gets on and presents that, yes, we know in the background that there's some trauma issues behind that. However, defense still puts on a good enough cross-examination that makes you have some sort of a reasonable doubt. So it's depending who is, it's either when the prosecution is there or when the defense is there. My point saying is that all of us here, just even in the gallery from the press or content creators, some people have some doubt, and all you need is a doubt. The defense, the jury has to convict. The only way you can find guilty is beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense has put some doubt, and if that's just us from the gallery, imagine what the juries are thinking. There's 12 and 5 alternates now that one has gone home. You gotta think that the defense feels pretty confident that at least one or probably more jurors have a little bit of doubt, okay? So in preparing his defense, the team thinks it's best for him not to take the stand. Mark Agnifilo once said he doesn't think he could keep Diddy off of the stand. That was on a Hulu documentary. And I think when Mark Agnifilo said that, I think that was strategy. You cannot ever believe what a defense attorney says to the press, what he says on documentaries or anything, because they know that the prosecution is listening and they could be throwing them off of their strategy. Never believe what a defense attorney is saying in an interview, okay? So the fact that Mark Agnifilo said 2 or 3 months ago, I don't think I could keep Diddy off the stand, I never believed it at that point, all right? So in case somebody tells you that, just know that that could have just been a strategy. Legal experts say, oh, this is very important. Legal experts say Diddy testifying would expose him to damages on cross-examination and impact his 60-plus civil cases. That definitely, I think, does hold weight, that he would definitely expose himself. However, I do think that Diddy understands that he is in federal court and he is up on a lot of big charges. And I don't think that he's thinking about his civil cases now. And I don't think that's the reason why he's not taking the stand. I don't see Diddy saying, yo, I'm not gonna take the stand because some of what I say could be used against me in my civil cases. When you're facing life in prison, you're not thinking about the money that you can lose. If Diddy thought that he could take the stand and that would have him be found not guilty, he would take that risk and worrying about fighting the civil suits. Diddy is not taking a stand because his team, him and his team, feel confident that they have the jury, or at least some sort of reasonable doubt in one or more of those juries. Keep in mind, though, this is still at the 11th hour. We still have 1 or 2 more days from the prosecution. Anything could happen. We are in the Southern District of New York. Maureen Comey is an excellent lawyer. Her team is very excellent. They've put a great strategy and a case together and presented it very well. I think everyone's testimonies were really good. You can never count them out, and it's not over until they rest, okay? So this is just information that we have so far and what we could assume so far. Now, before I get to some of your questions, see, Tyrone says Diddy is innocent. You see that? Free Diddy, free Diddy. Before we get to this, I've heard that, I have to be very careful because the judge has not announced this yet. I heard they have made a decision on juror number 7. I told you guys yesterday I was waiting outside the courtroom, or just to back up, we were in the court, the judge dismissed the jury, and then he asked the lawyers, all right, lawyers, let's talk about the leak. For those of you who don't know, go check out yesterday's live. I told you to an extent about the leak and how the judge was upset. He said, all right, we're beyond that now. Let's concentrate on juror number 7. I'm going to close the court so that we can discuss juror number 7. He's trying to contain it and not let it get to the media. That's why I can't tell you too many details right now. But apparently, After they closed the court, got rid of all the press and all the gallery, the judge and all the lawyers, you didn't hear it from me, but brought back juror number 7 to speak with them alone. Okay? And they have made a decision. They will let us know, and when they let us know, when the judge lets us know, I'll be able to come and tell you. I cannot tell you now because the judge does not want that information out yet. All right, so stay tuned. If I can, I will come out while trial is going on, but Brendan Paul is up there and I don't want to miss him. So I'll maybe come out on break, which would be around 10, but if it's really juicy, I'll only come out around 12 o'clock, all right? But within the morning, at some point, I will give you guys an update on juror number 7, unless something has changed, but from what I've heard, the decision has been made, all right? So let me get to some questions. That's what I love about the mornings. I could talk to you guys a little bit more. Let me get up, let me scroll up, see if there is anything in here. All right, here we go. Okay, so boom. Good morning, love you Trent, love you too, Danielle, sorry. Good morning, Indiana in the house. What up? Okay, just checking on the line. Okay, the cop's not there anymore, yes. Somebody says, somebody is behind you? Well, I guess that person's gone. Thank you for letting me know. Somebody is behind you, call the police. Anyways, I think maybe you're trolling me. Wow, a couple of people said there was somebody behind me. How would I not see somebody behind me? Nobody is behind him. Thank you very much. I would have seen that in my camera. Somebody said free puff. Trent, good morning. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. All right, trying to get to some questions. Grand Rising King and Queens. Just found your channel and I appreciate your coverage. Watching from Ohio. What up, Ohio? I have a lot of viewers in Ohio. I don't know why, but I'm coming out there one day at least to say what's up to y'all. Okay, good morning. Hit the like button. Good morning. All right, trying to find some questions. Good morning, Trent. Just found your channel yesterday. Looking forward to hearing your perspective and your views on the content. Thank you very much. Hypocritically, if Diddy gets off of everything, where would his career go from there? Listen, some people have said that like, yo, Diddy is over. It's over for him. I don't necessarily agree. I feel like at the start of it, everybody was against Diddy, but that is what I think that was based on all of these civil cases that we heard. And remember, the bearer of proof, the burden of proof on civil cases are far less. People could say whatever they want in a civil case, and they could just go to a celebrity or anybody and say, yo, give me this amount of money or I'm gonna put this up to you. So there was a lot of salaciousness in, oh, the cough is back. There was a lot of salaciousness in that civil cases, and that's where I thought people were like, yo, we're done with Diddy. Now, as it came to the federal case and we're seeing these facts, I think that Diddy has garnered a lot more support. Again, just in this chat alone, you see people saying Diddy is innocent. The government should not be in his bedroom, etc., etc. Those aren't necessarily my views. I'm just telling you what some people think. Having said all of that, with the support that he's garnered from, let's say, 30%, 40%, I still think that Diddy could have some sort of career. Will he be back to the levels where he was at before? No. But just keep in mind, Diddy went from being a billionaire to being worth $400 million. He's still worth $400 million. He is still a celebrity. Donald Trump went through a lot. He went through a lot of court cases. Yes, not to this level, but he was able to come back and be the president of the United States, win 7 swing states and a popular vote. This is 2025. It's not 20, 30 years ago. It's a very, very thinking world that we live in, and there's a bunch of different platforms. It's no longer controlled by just a couple of outlets. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need the corporate world. Is Diddy done pretty much in the corporate world? Yes, but you know, let's say somebody gets, let's go like CNN or like, let's say like a Tucker Carlson. Years ago, they'd be done. Now Tucker Carlson could go and, you know, go out on Twitter or go on YouTube, and Tucker Carlson's going viral this morning for his interview with Ted Cruz, and everyone's talking about him, and he is on his own. Don Lemon, et cetera, et cetera. So I say all of that to say, I do think that there's still avenues for Diddy to make money independently if he does beat this. Somebody says, you better research the Mann Act. I have. I guess you're maybe talking to other people. It's better they're using RICO for a black man, not for companies like Abercrombie and Finch. Yeah, don't even get me started with Abercrombie and Finch. Somebody said, however. Yeah, you know, Melva, you know I had to get into double howevers for sure. One day I'm gonna make some merch that says out louder, however, why don't you mind your business? I don't think you're talking to me. That's really well said, Trent. Thank you very much. Black women always trying to get me. Okay, whatever. No. So okay, you guys are talking to yourselves. That's da 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 da. Blah blah blah. This whole case is trumped up. This is a year's sentence, if that. Okay, I think you're talking about the one lesser charge of the SCX for hiring people. Yes, definitely. I definitely think he'll be charged and found guilty for that, and it is a lesser charge. From what I've talked to about with some legal experts, even if he gets found guilty on that, which I think he will get off on time served. I think it's like a 2 or 3 year sentence, and yeah, he'll get off on time served if he only gets found guilty of that. This involves everybody. Good morning. Good morning. That Diddy is wrong, but the charges are wrong. You know, that is definitely up for discussion. A lot of people have said that, where if they maybe would have tried him in state court, maybe if they would have tried him on some lesser charges. I do think it's very ambitious, some of the charges he's faced against, but this is the best, arguably one of the best courts in the United States, the Southern District of New York, and they have a good team. So you got to think there's a reason why they did that, right? And we'll soon find out. We'll soon find out if they were right. Somebody says people selling themselves is illegal, period, rather crossing than not crossing state lines. I agree with you, Virgo child. And, you know, paying for SCX is illegal, period. My question is, if I'm in New York and I pay, I don't even want to put my name into it. If John Brown is in New York and he pays somebody for SCX, that is illegal and there is a charge for that, yes. My question is that should there be a different charge? Should you face way more jail time if you're in Pennsylvania or if you're in another state? Find an SCX worker from New York and they get on a bus, cross state lines, and do the exact same thing. This is my question, and this is what Diddy's defense team is going to argue. It is illegal, yes. Should you face 10 times more jail sentence or 10 times the whatever it is that you're breaking the law just because that SCX worker crossed state lines, took a bus, rode a bike, walked across state lines to come and give you their services? Should the penalty be the exact same or should it be different? That's my question. Somebody said something, okay, no, here, boom. It's not the interstate travel makes it more of a crime. Interstate travel simply provides federal jurisdiction. Yes, exactly, that's what makes it, but that is the Mann Act. And the Mann Act, violating the Mann Act, does give you a longer or harsher sentence than the regular SCX within the state. Exactly, especially if you have money. Travel is travel, period, no matter what you use to get there. Exactly, you could just walk across, it doesn't matter. Because it was the law that was invented by Jack Johnson, the first, okay, yes, okay, da, da, da. Why haven't they talked about, okay, I'm not even bring that up. Why are you calling him Diddy? His name is Sean. What are you talking about? He was playing with drinks. Good morning. Good morning. Shoot me some questions. I haven't brought us in yet, so I still got a little bit more time. These XCS charges are bogus. Diddy is on record about organizing the black vote independent and the majority and having the means to do that. Diddy's defense seems to be trying their hardest to get a mistrial to buy them time and they can drain his pockets. I don't think they're just trying to get a mistrial to try to drain Diddy's pockets. They're trying to get a mistrial because if they get a mistrial, there's a slim chance that they'll be like, oh gosh, we're not going through this again. But people have said even if they're getting a mistrial, they will do the trial again. But it's a huge advantage to the defense if there is a mistrial because they know what the victims are going to say. They know what they're presenting. They know everything. So you know they'll know their strategy. Will it change a little during the second trial? Yes, but the advantage is to the defense if there is a mistrial. All right, say good morning. Good morning. Boom, boom. Diddy's not testifying unless his demands of oil are met. That's hilarious. People are really worried about the wrong things here. Who cares if he's calling him Diddy? Yeah, who cares if calling him Diddy? Churchill, okay. They got paid and played, okay. SCX trafficking, Mann Act. What about the actresses that travel to Hollywood for a love scene in a movie? You can't compare acting with real life, but okay, it's fine. One of the people who have testified, no one has asked whether or not, okay, I'm not talking about that. Drake from Team U. Wow, that's rude. That's awesome. Out Louders in NYC. Yeah, Melva, that was hilarious, right? Yeah, but I have been getting a lot of a bigger audience or a new audience here in New York. 2 people came by yesterday. It was like, oh, we know you go live at 5 and we wanted to meet you. So yeah, because I'm going live out here, a lot of New Yorkers are liking the content and liking the live. Shout to NYC. Diddy's so arrogant that he probably thinks he only needs to testify. Yeah, I said that before. I think definitely Diddy believes in himself, super confident, arrogant, narcissistic. He definitely feels like, yo, put me on a stand, I'll get myself off. I get it. I've even said that too. Like, you gotta, you know, hold on. Oh, I think they're opening the doors, guys. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, and you also have to think too, right? Diddy, for the past 30 years, has been famous. He's talked and been in meetings with the biggest people, been interviewed by the biggest people. He definitely has a level of confidence that the average person doesn't have to sit up there and be cross-examined. It takes a different level of experience and confidence to manage that. So I can understand where the confidence comes from. However, it still is a very, very dangerous thing to do, and I really don't think he'll do it. Hey T, can't wait to hear about what happens today. Yo, Mars is in the building, what up? Somebody said free Diddy. All that does is blah, blah, blah. Jill, jealous, Diddy, free Diddy. There are 3 different ages, okay? Diddy is innocent. That is very well said, Trent. The law was really put into place for cartels, trafficking, exactly. Different non-consensual reasons. Gonna be very interesting to see what they come up with in 2 days. Totally agree with you, and thank you for agreeing with me. Can't wait for Brandon to testify. Yeah, super excited. We saw Brandon yesterday. 3 minutes? Thank you. We saw Brandon yesterday. He walked right by me. I told you guys like what he was wearing or whatever. He got on the stand very quickly, got his immunity, pled the fifth, got his immunity. I thought they would get him in today, but it looks like they will not. Sorry, it looks like I thought they were supposed to get him yesterday, but they will get to him today. He's actually going to start. The prosecution told us yesterday it will take 90 days to 90 days. I'm rushing now. It will take 90 minutes to get Brandon's testimony, right? So I'll have a lot for you at lunch. Make sure you tune in. Trust me, if they thought he could help their case, he would testify. He's not testifying because he would make a horrible witness and hurt the case. All right, you have a right to an opinion. Being freaky is not a crime. Diddy was more than freaky. I don't agree when people say that. There's people who are freaky, and you cannot put Diddy in the category of just being freaky. He did a lot of wrong. He did a lot of things and was hurtful to a lot of women. You cannot discredit that. Look what he did to Cassie. We saw it on tape. You cannot just say that Diddy was freaky, all right? I really disagree with that. Okay, I respect that. All right, I think they're bringing us in now. Good morning. Let's see if that's very well said. Hey, got a super chat. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for the super chat. All right, yeah, we gotta go, guys. We gotta go. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you maybe soon, but if not, definitely at 12 for lunch. All right, I'll see you soon. Peace.